Good afternoon, investigators. Mike Evans and Casey Pine with episode 247 of Spry Curious, the Australian Private Government and Corporate Investigator Weekly News. How are you, Casey Pine?
I am amazing. Thanks, Mike. How are you?
Very well. You've had a very busy week.
I have. As usual.
So it's been a busy week all around, and I have got a job vacancy for a skip tracer, urgent. So I need a talented skip tracer who's not afraid to make pretext calls. So if you're in that realm, contact me, Mike Evans, on our contacts on our website or wherever. G'day, Jamie. Good to see you, mate. And I'll put you in touch with my national major client who wants to give you a lot of work and pay you a lot of money for skip tracing from your home office. So it's a great opportunity, and I'll remind you again about it later on in the program. So people, we've got a really big and exciting program today. We're talking about networking on LinkedIn, also what's been happening globally that affects Australian investigators, and something that we all should be aware of, and I'm quite satisfied you are aware of. And Casey's going to be talking about an OC tip in a little while. So what sort of tip we got today, Casey, coming up, just to preview it?
Virtual machines.
Woohoo, very good. Okay. How much do they cost?
Free.
Free, wow, fantastic. So this is what has led to today's program. Each week we're going to have a theme or a topic or an idea, something that either you bring up through a question or that we notice is going on in the news that is important to people. Now, I thought this was a really good one. G'day, Amber. Great to see you. You're working hard this week on your professional development. Great to see you do time and event line. That's a really important one. G'day, Claire. Great to see you. Hope things are great down in Victoria. Hey, guys. There you go. Great to see you. So here it is. G'day, Jack. How's things down in beautiful Chile, Tassie? We'll swap places with you at the moment. It's boiling hot here in Queensland. G'day. How you going, Facebook user? And Lucas, well, thanks for coming in, mate. Good to see you, buddy. So this is the question we got. So Eric, graduate student of the Australian Security Academy, wrote in and said, recently I rewatched Alex's presentation on surveillance reports, and I would be interested in a copy of the template he offers in his presentations. So Alex's riveting surveillance presentation for Australian Security Academy students on surveillance report writing is actually the only report writing course that I've never fallen asleep in. It's pretty good. And if you haven't seen it and you're an Australian Security Academy student, get in touch with me and I'll give you the link to it. But in that recording, Alex offers a free template for surveillance report writing. Now, we have that in your learning materials, but Alex says this is constantly evolving and he'll give that to you. So that's a great thing that Alex has done, and he did. He gave it to Eric, and I think Eric was very happy. He wrote back very appreciatively. He said he found this session to be extremely well presented and helpful and would appreciate if you get a copy of that. One last thing I'd like to pick your brain about is LinkedIn. I've added different groups and people, including yourself, that's me, right? Not Alex, but am struggling to get anyone adding me back. Do you have any advice for me? Casey, do we have advice on it?
Yes.
Does LinkedIn help? G'day, Chantel. Great to see you down in beautiful northern New South Wales. Great to see you. So, hi, Amanda. How are you going? G'day, Joy. Great to see you. Joy's on LinkedIn.
And Amber says thank you.
That's fine, Amber. That's great. So anyway, people, LinkedIn is a great networking opportunity. It's a really good one, and it works, doesn't it, Case?
Yeah, it sure does. Hands down.
Now, like anything else, it doesn't happen overnight, but with persistence, attention to quality, it works very well. Now, I got to the stage some 6 years ago with it where I could say, I'm going to be in Sydney next week. If you'd like to catch up, give me a call. And my diary would fill out for 3 days just on saying that on LinkedIn in type with no video. It's an incredible way of working. People say, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Well, I dare you to say, use a free $100 to the first 25 people that apply, that respond to this on LinkedIn. Put that in, you'll get 25 people reply straight away. It works. It just depends on the quality of what you're doing, your contacts and your input. So it's got to be relevant and important. Now, it's easy for me. You've seen me do it. But I had to start somewhere. And I'll go through the presentation. Casey will be back in a second. She'll certainly contribute to this as well. But let's just have a look. There's Scotty, and there's an X. My computer is light because it's so humid. I touch my computer, it just goes right off. Now,
So humid.
Make sure no one's looking. Don't tell him this. This is an email I sent to Vince Quattrapani back in 2011 telling him he's got to get in on this LinkedIn thing and do some networking. I keep all my emails. That's pretty frightening, isn't it? And that's the email I sent to him 2011, I think it was. So we're talking 13 years ago. Because Pat Ray had just sent me the same email saying, you've got to get in on this networking thing. And I thought, oh, God, I haven't got time. I'm too busy. But Pat Ray convinced me. He's a marketing professional. And I told Vince about it. And this is what it said. This was LinkedIn's fabulous advertising in that email. How dynamic, exciting, and exhilarating is that? That was what was going around, and people were going, oh, I might try this LinkedIn thing. Well, young investigator Vince took my advice, and here's his LinkedIn profile today. You can see 14 years later, all his where he works. And he hasn't got Australian Security Academy listed there, so I'm going to delete him as a friend. But that's his profile as of today, all right? And he's been building on that, and he gets money for charities and stuff like that through his LinkedIn profile, and he promotes his Rely, Your Call, and Clarity Workplace Solutions events and all that sort of thing on LinkedIn. And that's most of the advertising he does, and it's been very successful for him. Just because of my advice 13 years ago. Good to see you followed my advice there, Vincy, right? Who are the people you should be connecting with on LinkedIn? Well, you can replay this at any time, remember that, and stop it and see who they are. All right? Now, the man you just saw has employed every Australian Security Academy student that's applied there for the last 2 years. That's a freaking a lot amount of people, but he's employed them all. Right? So he is a pretty good person to contact with on LinkedIn. There's another one that does that too. This guy, Pat Henderson. If you're a skip tracer, Pat Henderson wants to talk to you this afternoon. If you're a good skip tracer who's not afraid to make a call, get in touch with Pat. But more than that, connect with him on LinkedIn. He will not knock you back. He will not ignore you. I think you can still write a little note that says, I'd like to connect with you, can you, Casey? Or is that all gone now?
Yep, yeah, you can add a note with the reason why you want to connect.
Yeah. Put in your note, look, I really like your profile. I'm an investigator based in the Whitsundays. Tell them where you're from. You'll get their attention, right? So those two were employers of investigators. They're always looking for surveillance people. They're always looking for factual people, and they're always looking for skip tracers. Not so much the first one, but the second one, yeah. Okay. So let's keep going. So that was Pat Henderson. If you're confused, this is what Pat Henderson looks like in the real life, all right? That's his LinkedIn profile. Don't tell him I did that, and don't tell Vince that I put up that email to him. It was totally confidential, all right? Who else is on LinkedIn? Well, this person will connect with you on LinkedIn, won't she?
Yes, she will. She sure will.
She sure will, all right. She's won the Office Smiling competition in that photo. So we'll have a little ceremony next week for sending out Casey a little certificate, so she won the office smiling competition. So look out for that. The surveillance investigator whose video led to this presentation. Now he's on LinkedIn. Write him a note and say, hey, saw you on LinkedIn, loved your surveillance presentation. Can I have a copy of the templates? Well, you've got to come to me for the templates because Alex doesn't know who's a student and who's not, but I'm only giving them to students. This guy, he's been on LinkedIn for a while now and he's the nicest bloke ever. Lucas, and he's watching today. Hey, Lucas said hello earlier. Get in touch with Lucas and network with him. Now, why would you do that? Well, Lucas is eminently qualified. He's wealth of information on investigations and he's a worthwhile contact to have. So, great opportunity there to network with Lucas. Jesse started investigations, I don't know, must be 19 years ago. And he does a lot of undercover work and he does bug detection now. And there's his profile. It's got Australian Security Academy on it. Good on you, Jesse. Well done, buddy. Did Lucas have that? Let's have a look. Oh, Lucas. Got to get Australian Security Academy up there, mate. What are you doing? Whose side are you on, buddy? Okay. This guy, Clarity Investigations. He's employed every Australian Security Academy student that's applied there in the last 2 years. The factual investigation. Now, he's not going to say no. I'm not going to contact you. And look, he's got Australian Security Academy on his profile. Write to him and say, hey, Matt, I'm an investigator. I'm located in Perth. I'd just like to connect. And he will connect with you. Tim Blank, the owner of Condon Corp, is a networker. He is constantly looking for investigators. Write to him and say, Tim, I'm a surveillance investigator located wherever, or I'm a factual investigator for general insurance or workers' comp. You'll get Tim's attention. He will network with you on LinkedIn. Scott Taylor, have a look at this. He's 8,000 followers on LinkedIn. Next week, he's going to be on this program. Right? Yeah. Scott was supposed to be here today, but I got too busy. And poor old Scott, I haven't apologised yet, but he'll be on next week. 8,000 followers on LinkedIn. If you ask to connect with Scott, is he going to say no? And another thing you got to know about Scott is he holds every Australian Security Academy qualification that we've got. All right. So just tell him Mike's from the Australian Security Academy said, get in touch with me. Andrew Davis. What did that just say there? Casey, Scott Taylor.
Yes, Scott said 40% of my consulting and training leads come from LinkedIn.
Well, there you go. Scott's watching Scott's watching right now. And Scott, I apologise, mate. This thing's got away from me this week. We'll get together this coming week to have you on the show. And I tried to find your video that you put up last night, but I couldn't find it in time. So, mate, we'll get together next week. And people are looking forward to seeing 8,000 followers, Scott. Now, Andrew Davis is looking for factual investigators in New South Wales. He's a great guy, all right, and he wants to hear from him, connect with Andrew. Jason Fullerton, security risk manager. See the little badge he's got up there? That gold badge means he, wants to hear from people. He's a networker on LinkedIn. He's paid extra for it. He can do extra contacts and stuff like that and see who's been looking at his profile, as you see in Alex's videos, warn you about that. But Jason will be very happy to connect with you. Damien, author of some fantastic books down in Victoria. Write to him and say, Damien, I read all your books. Can we connect on the internet? On LinkedIn. He'll love it. He will. All right. Johnny, you won't see a more active Facebooker, but sometimes he goes on LinkedIn with some very important stuff. Get in touch with Johnny from Precise Corporate Risk Investigation Services down in Victoria. He's been the owner of that investigation agency for 24 years, as far as I know, maybe longer. I haven't read his resume recently. Tax. If you're looking for some really good information about insurance investigation, Tax from Allied Universal will be posting that all the time. And he will network with you. He's interested in talent in investigations that's emerging, and just get in touch with him. Seaham has built 2 investigation agencies from scratch in the background in Victoria. They're both very successful and still are. One of them is a successful investigation agency. She'll network with you. She wants to hear from you if you're a factual investigator, but she won't say no if you are a surveillance investigator. Now, I haven't put a lot of ladies in this because, it's risky. Sehan can look after herself, or you get in touch with her at the Massel Group and coordinate with Sehan. From Allied Universal, the person who owns the business, the largest investigation agency in Australia. He's got his LinkedIn badge up there. He wants to connect with you. He's a busy person, just like Scott Taylor, okay, and Vince Quattrapani and several others, but he's always on the radar looking for talent. You introduce yourself to him and say, look, I'm in North Adelaide, mate. Have you got me work? I'm your man. That's what they want to know. They're on here to find out. They're on here to network. In investigations, your network is your net worth. You don't network, you'll never get any work. This is just one avenue. All we're looking at is one avenue today. Okay. Leanne Corcoran. She can't wait to meet you if you're an investigator anywhere in Australia. She is basically the talent collector for Allied Universal. And she wants to know that you're licensed. She wants to know, in particular, if you're a member of an industry association, because all her clients demand that. So if you're licensed, you're a member of an industry association, get in touch with Leanne. You can replay this at any time and see who these people are. Adam Chambers from Pingamas, right? He will connect with you. He wants to know you if you're a surveillance operative or if you are a factual investigator. This is a very large Australia-wide global investigation agency that picks up global investigations of a substantial nature because of who they are. I hope Adam's dad, Andrew, is very well. He retired a couple of years ago, and I'm sure he's enjoying his retirement. We interviewed him 2 years ago about his book launch. Mario Beckett, he will connect with you. He's a licensed investigator in New South Wales, has an investigation agency, and he will not knock you back. So ask him to join with you. Patrick Flynn, the national training manager of the Australian Security Academy, and this is the guy that started it all, Pat Ray. And this is a reply he gave to something that was posted on LinkedIn the other day, and he's talking about engaging speakers have the knack of being able to connect with the audience in a genuine, enthusiastic way. Like the famous saying goes, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So Pat's giving you a list of ideas to do that when you're speaking in public. Now, Pat, as eminently qualified as he is, an international rugby referee, is a great bloke, but all he does is study all the time and do continuous professional development. And he wrote most of the Australian Security Academy's business management unit in CPP 30619 because he knows how to advertise a business and he knows how to network and he knows where to go. And his big tip to everybody is go where the clients are. So should you join an investigation agency group on Facebook or on LinkedIn, well, you can, but they're just investigators, they're not clients. Pat would advise you to get into the insurance ones, where the insurance and claims managers are. That's what Pat's advice would be. We're looking at there, a little tip. So this is the Australian Security Academy's LinkedIn page. Now, this is a new page. I think I've got 8 followers. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate. Great, really kind of you to follow that page. I just gave up 3,000 followers on another page, business page, to put this one out because you can list your Australian Security Academy qualifications on and link it back to it. Now, we're having trouble with that. We're going to get Casey to tell us about that next week, how to repair that. But we'll come back to that next week. Casey's got too much on this moment to even think about that. This is what Leanne's looking for. This is what Leanne Corcoran wants to see when you contact her. Member of an industry association, and that you're a licensed private investigator. Keep that in mind. That's really, really important. One more. We're just going to do one more. And then Casey's going to have her turn because I've hogged enough. This is a regular one. We see it quite frequently, week after week. Sarah is the HR manager of Condon Court. If you're a licensed investigator, factual or surveillance anywhere in Australia, she wants to talk to you. She's organised the industry association certificates for several people in the last 4 months. She's really kicking goals at that organisation with Tim Blank and the rest of the great team at Condon Court. But that's her profile. She'll be happy to connect with you if you just tell her you're a licensed factual or licensed surveillance investigator and tell them where you are. You're no use to them if they don't know where you are, right? That's how you get investigation work. They're interested in you being licensed and where you live, because investigations come from everywhere. Casey, what do you got for us today?
Lucas says, sorry, he's fixed that little issue, FYI.
Good on you, Lucas.
I was just typing there because I wanted to show you something just to back up what Mike said. So much of my business comes through LinkedIn. Sometimes I'm a gold member, sometimes I'm not. Just depends on how I'm feeling at the time, and I never pay full price. I always wait for LinkedIn to offer me 50% off for a month, and then I'll do the gold to put out content and have a further reach type thing. So there's a little tip for you on that. Always keep an eye out for the specials because LinkedIn's expensive. And it's not necessary. You don't need to have LinkedIn as gold or platinum or something. But if you're going to put some effort into your LinkedIn and start posting things and you want to see who comes and looks at your profile, then yeah, keep an eye out for those little 50% offs, or if they offer you a free month if you pay for like the next month, like it's definitely worth it then, in my opinion, if that's the route you want to go. And because like I just get so many speaking engagements just before Christmas, I spoke to the OSINT group in Italy, and it was amazing because I'm sitting there speaking in English. They've got the subtitles down the bottom in Italian for them, and I had a translator who translated questions. There were lots of hand movements. It was very Italian. I loved it. It was amazing. And that opportunity came from LinkedIn. So, and for that talk, I actually reached out. I just want to bring it up here. Sometimes you think that people are so big and so busy, and you never know until you just reach out. And I reached out to Jake Krebs, who is an incredible OSINT investigator, and he puts together the newsletter that I love and recommend and puts out tips all the time. And I reached out to him on LinkedIn. I didn't think I was actually going to hear back. And I said, what is your tip for OSINT investigators? And he wrote back to me. So, hey, Casey, the only advice I'd give is to be ethical first, community-driven second, and don't compete, lead. Don't get defensive when methods you've relied on for years go away. See them as a win for digital privacy. OSINT is becoming increasingly technical, and 6 search engines for OSINT research isn't going to cut it anymore, which was fantastic advice from Jake. And I was just so grateful and so happy that I had just asked the question on LinkedIn. He sent me through something quick. It was brilliant. So, and it helped my talk. Having such a big name, I could give some advice during my talk. So it was really, really good. And with this thing that I'm going to talk about, Trace Labs have a new Capture the Flag coming up. It's on the 28th. I haven't done the time conversion, so I'm guessing it will be the 29th of January for us. But if you go to tracelabs.org, you'll see, I've just got this one thing here. Because with every capture the flag that they bring out. And so for those of you who are new here and haven't heard me speak about TraceLab CTFs before, I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. It's where you volunteer your OSINT skills to look for missing people online. So you look for any kind of digital trace. So you're there to compile evidence and to find email addresses or Facebook accounts or Twitter accounts or any other like Pinterest account that or identify something from, do some geo-ed from a picture that you found on an account. And they compile all of this information that these volunteers find and they hand it over to the police. So they work with the police with this. The police hand over however many cases they have at the time that they're willing to share and believe could benefit from some open source intelligence. And we all get together. It's for 2 hours. It is a very draining 2 hours because you work really hard for 2 hours to find information, to try and help find these people. And you get points for every single little bit of information that you find. So it's essentially gamifying it to make it fun, but you also understand the seriousness, and it's for a really, really good cause. It's just finding missing people. And with TraceLabs, whenever it comes to a capture the flag, whenever they're going to launch one, they bring out a new virtual machine. So a virtual machine is something that every OSINT practitioner needs to be using. You should not just be using your regular computer system to search for things that you're not sure where you're going to end up. You might click on something that you shouldn't have clicked on. You might get your computer infected. You might tip off the person that you're looking at. It's always important to have a virtual machine so you have a clean environment where you're doing your investigation. And I love the TraceLabs VM because they're specifically for OSINT. So they've created them and they have everything in there for OSINT. So for those of you who are not quite across virtual machines yet, this is what I suggest you download, which is VirtualBox. So think of it as a computer inside a computer. Oh, 100%, Joyce, yes. And they're very strict on it. You're not to contact any family members or friends or anything like that. You're purely there to find evidence online, just as in any investigation that you ever do. So the VirtualBox is what you download. It's free. And then you download the TraceLabs virtual machine. It's like downloading the software. So think of VirtualBox as the pretend computer. It's like a little sandbox. And the TraceLabs VM is like the software that will run it for you. So you download VirtualBox, then you upload the TraceLabs VM, and you have a really nice clean system that you can use. If you click on a link, say that you are looking in the dark web for something and you click on a really malicious link, and trust me, I've been there, and you will thank your lucky stars that you're in a virtual machine because it will protect your computer from being infected. So once you shut down that virtual machine, you don't have to worry about it. It's shut down. It's not infecting your computer at all. And that way, like with my virtual machine, I never sign into any of my personal Facebooks. So I'm not in my Casey Pine Facebook. I'm not in my Casey Pine LinkedIn. I'm not on my Casey Pine Pinterest, right? I'm in my Sock Puppets accounts, and that's specifically where they sit in the virtual machine. And that way I can't make any kind of mistakes like that as well. So it's really important for OSINT practitioners to get their head around virtual machines. It's not only just good cyber hygiene, it's really just good to protect yourself, because sometimes we're asked to look for people and we don't know the full story. They could be super dangerous people and we're not always given the full story. So treat them as if treat everybody as if you do not want them to know that you're looking at them, okay? So you have to be really careful. Watch your digital footsteps, and using a virtual machine is a really good way to do it. And a really great way to practice if you are new to OSINT is joining the TraceLabs CTF. I'm going to do it. I've bought a ticket. I've also applied as a judge. I like judging. That's my preferred stance with that, as I get to see kind of the back end The last one I judged the team that came third. And I tell you what, they put me through my paces, like confirming all of the information that they found. So as a judge, they submit what they've found. They have to show that it's open source intelligence. It's not behind a paywall. They didn't get the information illegally. You look at that and you can confirm it or deny the submission. So it's a really good way to look at how these incredible people do different OSINT. So you can sign up as a judge, or you can sign up as a person that's going to enter the competition. And it's great fun. It's really, really rewarding. It's an amazing community of OSINT practitioners, which all, by the way, I'm connected with on LinkedIn. And yeah, highly, highly recommend it. Even if you're not an OSINT practitioner and you just like to dabble in that kind of stuff, go for it. There's lots of lay people that I've seen do it. So highly recommend.
Can I just add that Casey, no one judges like Casey. And when she was last round here, she left her gavel. She's always judging me. So, get used to that, people. I can fully second what Casey just said about herself as being judgmental there. So, give a comment, Casey.
Yeah, it's definitely basic. This is just, there's a whole thing I could definitely do it, but VM is minimum, definitely minimum, as well as your VPN. There's lots of things, but it's okay. Like, we're doing civil investigations. We're not necessarily doing criminals. So it's enough for basic investigations for sure.
Tony's saying hi from down in Adelaide. Now let's go, people, and have a look just to see if Lucas is either full of it or he did fix the issue that he had on his LinkedIn. He fixed it. Look at that. I just got to get rid of the comment. Thanks, guys. There you go. Good on you, Luke. Now you've got it now. Everybody's got a link with Lucas now. He's fixed that. That is brilliant, mate. Well done. You can't get away with anything now. Everything's happening in real time. Now, Chantel, who watches this program and comments and says hello each week, raised my attention to what's going on over in the UK at the moment with the post office and an investigator over there being accused of disgusting behaviour. Now, the person in the photo is a victim. He's not the investigator. But what happened was, a fraud squad was introduced to the post office and they went out with rewards if they busted anyone for committing fraud. So they went left, right and centre, absolutely nuts on just telling everybody they were guilty and doing inappropriate things. All the things that we say you don't do here in our training materials for records of interview and witness statements and all that sort of thing, these guys were doing. And it's hit the newspapers. And there's a comment there from the Prime Minister of England about it. And basically, it's a really big deal over there at the moment. What's going on here?
I was going to say cash. And yes, it was cash.
Casey, you're supposed to keep control in this group. Thanks very much. All right. I'm trying to be serious while they're all mucking around. So the Prime Minister's weighed in on it. And this is an email from one of the investigators because I want to prove there is effing no case for the justice of thieving sub-postmasters and that we were the best investigators they ever had and they were all crooks. This is something you never do in an email. Wonder what he really thinks. But this is out there at the moment and it's hit the headlines big time in England. And you can actually in real time see over there the court case is on YouTube tonight and you can actually watch it. It's ongoing. It'll go on for quite a long time. So why is this really important to you as an investigator? You've actually seen something very similar happen, but you didn't know it at the time. And I'll give you a little clue and I'll give you a little show of it. I'll just show it briefly. There was a similar thing done on a program where a guy started checking the post and possible fraud.
Can't prove anything.
Is this or is this not your signature?
No, as a matter of fact, it isn't.
Uncle Leo,
So Newman's there accusing Jerry of fraud in the mail. Okay. And it goes on.
Suspicion of mail fraud.
Mail fraud? You're in a lot of trouble, buddy.
So basically, what happens is Newman ends up in an inquiry over it. And he's his inquisitor just after the other guys.
Think we got a stack of mail out there at the desk that belongs to you. Now, you want that mail, don't you, Mr. Crenshaw?
Sure do.
Good. Now, that's better.
Jeez.
No? Tell the world my story.
So Newman's in big trouble, and you've seen that guy before. He's the Attorney General of the Post Office on the Seinfeld program, which is completely fictionary, but you've seen him as the actual mailman Attorney General in absence of malice.
Have a seat, folks. Well, now, let the record show that I'm James J. Wells, Assistant Attorney General for the Organized Crime Division of the United States Department of Justice. With me here are... Oh, hell, Angie, you know who these folks are. Just write them in. I've had no conversation with any...
Okay, so I'm not playing the whole thing, but he's conducting an inquiry there, and anyone that doesn't cooperate in that room's going straight downstairs to the grand jury with a subpoena handed to them in the room, and off they go. And if they don't cooperate, then they're going straight to jail. So that's called being in a star chamber with compulsive powers, and that's what's got to happen when you're at his level. Not you, the investigator. That wasn't a recorded interview. That was an inquiry. So he was acting the part, Wilfred Brimley. Sally Field, Flying Nun, was in that movie too. It's a really good movie. You should watch it. Of a person that's genuinely trying to get to the bottom of an issue. And that's what Seinfeld ripped off and took off on it. But it sowed the seeds for you to see. Now, what's going on in England at the moment with the investigators there accusing people who never committed fraud? They're doing an inquiry into it. One lady tried to suicide. She lost her marriage. She lost her job. She lost her reputation in the community, and she attempted suicide over it because they accused her of fraud, and she didn't commit any fraud. And this is all coming out in this inquiry in England at the moment. Now, when an investigator is totally focused, because they hate someone so much, they're fixated on it, they want to get that person, they don't care about anything else. They might be a rapist, they might be a murderer, they might be someone that whooped them the wrong way. It's called tunnel vision. Now, you do not want to have tunnel vision. It's really important as an investigator that you keep an open mind. The Victorian Police spent $72 million trying to prove that the guy you're about to see in this video was a crook, and he wasn't. They blew $72 million, the most expensive investigation in Victorian police history. This is Peter Spencer's presentation on tunnel vision. Can you hear me, Casey?
Yep.
There are no Sherlock Holmes in the world. There are just people out there with 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Don't let anyone tell you they're a master investigator. To catch crooks, you got to think like a crook. Sometimes you might get tunnel vision. He and myself have done it ourselves. Don't make things out of one fact. Don't make 5 facts out of one thing. Convince the person it is in their interest to tell you what happened. Get into their minds. In investigation work, if you don't learn something new every day, you're not doing your job properly. Don't make things out of one fact. Don't make 5 facts out of one thing. Rest in peace, Peter Spence. a very good detective. I walked down the street in Melbourne with Peter Spence one day after we finished a program. We were going back to the car park to our vehicles. Every crook that went past us said, "Hello, Mr. Spence." And they called him Mr. Spence. And I reckon there must have been 30 people that said that for our 15-minute stroll through the centre of Melbourne CBD. It scared the hell out of me. But he was respected by everyone he dealt with, crooks and other police or whatever, because he was getting into their head that they could trust him. They would tell him things that they wouldn't tell any others. G'day, Chris. Good to see you, mate. Enjoy that coffee, buddy. So that's really good advice. What you saw and what you'll see going on about the Horizon scandal in England that Chantel has just alerted us all to is about tunnel vision. It's England's equivalent of Australia's robo-debt.
Exactly. Yeah.
The whole time it was going on, they denied it because they spent so much money on it. They had to. And now it's all come out that it was a scam and people suicided over that in Australia. So this is a very, very serious matter. And I was so pleased Chantel was onto it and she shared it with us and that we can see it and we can have a laugh at Newman. So that was great work, Chantel. Really appreciate it. Other things that happened this week in the news. Got to make sure I'm in the right thing here. Mars have been fined $412,000 for a fall at a workplace in New South Wales. That's quite a substantial fine. The person must have been really badly injured. And there was another one. I don't know what I've done with it. I must have accidentally clicked on it and taken it off. But a lady on her second day in the job in New South Wales got stuck in some scissor-like clippers and she's really badly injured. They've been fined a fortune. So that's happened this week. One of the things that came out about the SeaWorld helicopter disaster last year where several people were badly injured and other people were deceased as a result of the accident. One of the pilots, they reckon, had drugs in his system. One of the investigators from a past similar accident has told us all what compensation you get for being killed in a transport air accident. And it's there right in front of you in the last paragraph. If you jump on a plane in Hobart and it doesn't make it to Sydney because it goes down and everybody is deceased, every person it's capped at, you get $925,000 each. So that's what you get. Well, you don't get it because they can't bury it with you, but your heirs, that's what they'll get. It's capped at that price. So that's what happens in air accidents if they're a commercial transport thing. Now, if they're not, then the gloves are off. It's a completely different game and they can go for any amount of uncapped compensation that they can get. So that was an interesting thing that came out this week. So now you know how much you're worth.
Yeah, I wonder how old
Jetstar, Qantas. Why your tickets are so expensive. Oh, wow, worth nearly $1 million. All right, you've been watching episode 247. Connect on LinkedIn. Replay parts of this to see who those people were. This was almost the Scott Taylor show. It was hijacked. I'm going to have words with Scott Taylor and send him an invoice for this. We'll see Scott next week. I'm really looking forward to it. Use LinkedIn, people. It does work. We haven't covered every aspect. We just talked today about the networking.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
I feel like I've heard that somehow. Yeah.
Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, it's a scam and a half. In one of those videos, and when he presents in class, Alex, the surveillance presenter of the Australian Security Academy, this guy, he won one of those large screen TVs at McDonald's. He talks about it in his video, dedicates it. So he scammed everybody. Obviously, he scammed us too.
Yeah, when Alex said that he'd won that TV, I remember thinking, I'm surprised that they're still doing it after the controversy. So, yeah, I definitely had heard of that somewhere, Amanda. Crazy. And, yeah, I'm amazed that they're still running the same thing. Usually, like those kind of things, if they're associated with a scam, get wrapped up and put to the side, and they think of something else. But obviously, McDonald's, they just got to keep on going.
Good on you, Amanda. That was a great tip. So people, look, use it. Now, don't expect to get instantaneous results, all right? Don't be disappointed if it comes over time, like I said. Use that. So last week we told you, get in a free industry association that gives back to the members. There it is. Take advantage of it. This week we're telling you about a little part of LinkedIn, just the networking side of it. So these are some things to move forward with what you're doing. Some of the jobs, people that go to this page on Facebook to see the jobs. There's some beauties this week. I can't get through them all. There's just too many. Let's see. Massel Group, they're after factual investigators down in Victoria. Trainee factual investigator with Andrew, who's on LinkedIn, who featured there earlier. He wants a trainee investigator in New South Wales at Signature Investigation Group. Great team of people. Licensed surveillance investigator for Eastside Investigations down in Victoria for work cover claims. Great team at Eastside Investigations. You won't go wrong working for them if you're a surveillance operative. Get in touch with them. That's on our Facebook page. Quantum Corp, multiple licensed factual investigators all around Australia. You saw Tim and everybody else here today talking about the Australian Breastfeeding Association are after an integrity officer. Moving right along. Compliance monitoring security officer for Lindsay Transport. They require that. So that's an opportunity if you're into your security risk management. Senior investigator at Crown Resorts. Great opportunity there. I started my investigation career as the investigator for the West Point Casino, at the time, the only casino in Australia. That's going back a bit. Proceeds of crime investigator, you're going to take all the ill-gotten gains back off the crooks. I've added that in. Not very often I do that, but it just explains what proceeds of crime are. And newsflash, Pat Henderson is looking for investigators all around the country. So great team at SureFact. If you are a skip tracer, if you're good at your job at skip tracing, I don't care where you live. I don't care how old you are. All I care about is you're licensed. Get in touch with me and I'll put you in touch with my national client. They want to speak to you. So hook up on LinkedIn, everybody. Replay this to see who those people were. Okay. It's going to up your chances of getting employment once you're licensed, that sort of thing. So get that going. Casey, have we forgotten anything?
I don't think so. It's been a big show.
So we've done our marketing, we've done our networking. We're aware of tunnel vision. The one thing that will destroy your investigation career is a fixation and trying to match things that aren't facts to your theory. All right, so stay right out of tunnel vision. Victorian Police, $72 million they spent. $72 million trying to charge these two blokes who are completely innocent with fraud for accessing a database in the tax office. Now, it was actually a cleaner in Shepparton that did it, but the Victorian Police blamed these two guys who were totally innocent and ruined their reputations over it. The investigation went on for years and they didn't do it. They actually found the culprit themselves. They're good detectives, these two. I wouldn't have liked to have been that culprit when they put it to him, what he'd done. And he confessed straight away. I'd confess to Peter Spence over anything. Good on you, Peter. Rest in peace, mate. Here we go.
작전 종료. 전원 복귀할 것.
Thanks for watching, people. That's our mission complete for this week. We'll see you next week on Spy Curious, and I will be giving you the dates when we start our Investigations Uni program, which is our CPD program. When that recommences next week, I'm going to give you the actual dates and a couple of the topics for that coming up. So something to look forward to next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your contributions, people. See you next week. Thanks, Casey.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Mike. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.